You claim that you wish to forget, that you desire to go on, but then explain to me why you still consider that individual on a daily basis. Why do you do it even though you know they hurt you? Why do you miss them? Your phone's notifications. Speed up your heart, hoping that it's even them. Ultimately, don't deceive yourself. You don't miss the individual in question. Miss the impression you gave them of love's illusion is a reflection of what you stated that you wanted them to be. Carl Jung. What we don't confront within ourselves, we'll discover as fate. And perhaps that's precisely what's going on with you at the moment. Are coping with more than just a breakup. You face a mirror that's attempting to show you something that you've never seen before. Having the guts to watch this video is not about cliched self-help guidance or instructions on how to proceed. As if nothing occurred here, the truth will sting and stab. Wounds you attempted to conceal, but they will also release you from the harsh realities of life. Frequently, what we refer to as love is simply our shadow hanging to our food source. You're unconscious due to unhealed wounds, pleading for approval, even if it means continuing to be tied to a destructive person. This is incarceration, not love you. Moreover, what if I told you this attachment, this suffering, this worry you feel each time you discover who you are, rejected or ignored, is irrelevant. With the individual and all of the tasks, with what you haven't yet discovered inside, I'll walk you through it in this video. Through a very negative and transforming voyage, we'll investigate the hidden systems of your mind, comprehend why you hold on to the people who have harmed you the most. Crucially, how to start setting oneself free. But know what you're about hearing might not be simple, because of the truth never is, but only by confronting this reality that you will eventually quit pleading for affection and beginning to discover. Are you prepared yourself? If so, let's shift. Have you ever given any thought to why do you have such a strong bond with someone who obviously doesn't help you? So why even acknowledging the misuse and manipulation in something inside of you begs for the pain? For additional information, see the other individual. It is more profoundly within you. Compared to what you think, Carl Jung did not observe connections just as social exchanges for him. Each emotional connection is actually a reflection of the unconscious. We stop seeing when we fall in love. The individual as we really are putting aspects of ourselves onto them that we are unaware of or have been compelled to suppress all of our lives. Jung referred to this as psychic. You are not connected to this projection, individual for their true self, but for what they stand for your interior world they might have represented, even though inadvertently the stereotypical, the primal visions of anima or animus among the living, both male and female, within each of our unconscious minds. These figures represent the things we lack, what we want in order to feel whole, yet when projected onto a person, they produce such a powerful delusion that we misinterpret wholeness in terms of love and dependency. The issue that arises with submission as passion and adoration change into a fixation when the other individual doesn't match the romanticized picture we project, after which we lose ourselves when we take crumbs as justification, torture and self-destruction in the sake of a love that never existed in reality. In our perception that it wasn't love, was unconsciousness hiding emotional need, fantasies, And as long as you look outside of yourself to see what's lacking, will be held captive by the stare forever, of which you end up as a hostage. Intermittent unanswered messages, confirmation of attention that never materializes all of this, because your not conscious feels that the other is the only way to, although you are someone. Jung cautions us, as long as these are not integrated, secret aspects of yourself, that you will keep falling into the same habits, going through the same cycles again, selecting the identical individuals with distinct faces, and this is unconscious, not bad luck, destiny. So how do you get out of this situation? How can you give up your life in order to meet the emotional standards of other people and begin to rediscover who you really are? We shall examine this in the upcoming portion of the subconscious quest for verification and the cost of betraying oneself in the event that this material is. Click the subscribe button if it makes sense to you. Click and sign up for the channel. I appreciate your help. You discovered too soon that you had to be liked. Please make sure that you has to be good, practical, and appealing to merit the presence of someone. So you created a persona using a meticulously designed mask to satisfy other people's desires. But whenever you shape yourself to fit, you stray from someone else's expectations. A bit further distant from your true self. Carl Jung referred to this as the persona. The persona we develop in order to endure in the social realm, although it is essential. When we begin to think of ourselves as we start suffocating the only mask that are actual selves. And this is precisely what occurs in partnerships that are characterized by sentimental dependency. You turn down the lights to maintain the person who is close to you is silent, desires your suffering and your essence just to prevent rejection. The issue is that you look for a lot of validation from the outside, in the touch, in the glance, in the getting other people's acceptance is never enough. So regardless of how much someone tells you you're fantastic, if in your heart you believe that you are living you'll keep feeling empty if you lie, like attempting to use wind to sat hunger. This hollowness that consumes you is longing for someone, but not for them, for what you had to give up for yourself to be granted permission to exist without worrying about being abandoned. And as long as you remain reliant on thee to understand who you are in each absence, will collapse, and every quiet moment will be interpreted as dismissing any critique will result in an extensive wound. And that's where anxiety arises when you feel constricted. In your chest, sleeplessness and fixation on conveys the ongoing emotional alertness sense. Deep down, what you fear is not about losing the other. Rather, it's about compelled to examine oneself and recognize that you've lost your identity without that connection. However, this anxiety is a sign, not your enemy, a sign that your mental health is in battle, that some aspects of you are engaged and to appear, but you continue to shove them down into the basement of the unaware, and the more you attempt to, the louder they yell, the more you ignore them. At that point, we start to comprehend the actual part anxiety plays in poisonous relationships are more than simply a side issue. In fact, it is the soul's alert, and to confront it, you must transcend the symptoms. You must address the underlying reasons. We will examine in greater detail how anxiety results from internal fragmentation and its attempts to demonstrate to you. You refer to it as uneasiness in yourself, but in actuality, It is the hushed cries of some aspects of you that have been overlooked, amputated in the name of love after rejection. Your spirit is trying to alert you to the fact that there is a problem with your life, an emotional fabrication that the cost of you is the cost of keeping up this relationship is too expensive, and the person making the payment is you. Carl Jung demonstrates to us that the psyche is made up of several layers, both unconscious and conscious, that must, when you suffocate who you are, be in harmony, are to maintain a connection that when harmony is broken, a vicious internal division, as well as this division seems as anxiousness. It's not merely the quiet fear of abandonment. Conflict between your feelings and what you always give yourself permission to feel you choose to. Ignore your tears by swallowing them. Every time you tell someone, "I'm fine," when you're truly collapsing within, you reaffirm this division, and fear emerges as a protective system of your mind. It's your unconscious's effort to get back on track. It appears as though a conflict is taking place. The false self is located on one side of you, requesting outside approval of the real self suffocated in tears. Going out for genuineness, you sense a constriction in your chest as a result of your attempt to fit into an area that wasn't intended for you. Your heart is pounding because of the soul is escaping from a life that is not its own. Instead, you sense the ongoing fear of losing the other due to the fact that deep you're already lost and depressed. This suffering doesn't go away with a message and response, a reunion, or a new assurance, as the issue is not within your disconnection, the other from within yourself, as long as you look for something that can only be recreated outside. Your devoted will be in the midst of tension, friend. But as Jung reminds us, this fragmentation is a call, not an end. A request that you return to examine yourself to hear what this anguish is attempting to express and recover the portions you left behind during your journey as we proceed inside one of the most potent and hazardous forces of the shadow. In the next unconscious section, we will examine how the psychological shadow feeds the recurring harmful behaviors and the reasons you continue picking things that would ruin you. If you genuinely wish to be free, you must be prepared to confront what you have been hiding from music. You believe that you consciously decide with whom you identify. But what if I informed you that, in most cases, it is the most concealed aspect of your thoughts that creates you made the choice that it is not you. Your shadow is the one who selects the suffering, that concealed, denied, and suppressed portion, but which in your quiet, your life is still controlled by unconsciousness. According to Carl Jung, the shadow is you are everything you don't want to be. Everything that your parents and society, it was incorrect, unattractive, according to your culture. Embarrassing, and that you should be accepted deep into your spirit, but burying is, if you don't get rid of what you suppress, it becomes spiritual force awaiting a stage, and you are aware of the shadow's favorite. The stage is connections that reflect what you attract your shadow, which is the reason why without you repeat the same loop after realizing it. With various individuals, you alter the name, but the pattern remains the same. Is the same as you negate when someone hurts you, you blame yourself. Ask for scraps of bread and call it love. This is destiny, not bad luck, formed by do you receive your own inner darkness. Engage with someone who is emotionally unavailable, those that have narcissists with manipulators. Consider what these relationships show what you're hiding. From oneself, you might deny your rage, your wish to be seen, and your yearning to maintain control, which is why you submit to someone who perfectly captures what you avoid, being the shadow's manifestation, transferring itself in this manner onto the you dislike what you don't like about other people. Recognize what you love about them in yourself. You have given up on yourself, which is a painful game, but it's essential till you confront anything. You conceal because as long as you not be able to identify your shadow, it will keep drawing in circumstances that reflect it, so you can see it at last. What you resist persists, stated Jung. Accepting anything changes it, but it's not sufficient. To escape unhealthy partnerships, you must comprehend the reasons behind their attraction. And that calls for bravery. Bravery to examine oneself and acknowledge that you are partially to blame for the pandemonium. You bear unresolved traumas and ancient wounds, suppressed urges, and that everything must be incorporated, not disregarded. But then, how can this shadow be changed into strength to break the pattern of emotional self-destruction and reconstruct the most significant connection in your life? This is the one you have with yourself. What Jung referred to as the procedure of individualization, and in the following section we shall embark on this journey of going back to how individualized care may be the start of your emotional freedom. Having seen your shadow, are you prepared to begin the healing process? If what you're hearing speaks to you, you'll discover genuine worth in my ebook Beyond the Shadow. It dissects Jung's fundamental concepts and provides you the resources to comprehend a deeper connection with yourself lies in the pen. There comes a time when you have to recognize that you cannot continue to live in division. You can't act like two anymore. What's screaming inside of you and the world is precisely when the discomfort can't fit inside of you anymore that the actual process of healing. For Carl Jung, this marks the beginning of the psychological process of individuation by which the person ceases to be a puppet of their unconsciousness and masks injuries and starts to develop into the person they truly are, but refrain from becoming erroneous identification is not it's a lovely or light path. Conflict, you will have to deal with everything you have stayed away from, your fears, your traumas, you will exhibit self-destructive tendencies to make you more aware of the gains you made you, and you acknowledge that at many there were times when you contributed to the suffering. You did not suffer because you desired to suffer, but because you were unsure on how to lead a different life since your absence of the need-molded identity. Fear of rejection in order to gain acceptance. Individualization starts as soon as you quit pursuing people that aren't looking at you and begin to view oneself in a terrible sincerity when you ask why I give up everything. I have to keep the other close to what I'm attempting to make up for. What aspect of myself do I reveal every time? When I ask for affection, these inquiries are it hurts, yet they are the ones that pull the curtain of deception. During this procedure, you start to get back the pieces of your soul that you lost. Any limit you establish each time you decide to be quiet rather than pleading with everyone. The moment you refuse to bend, you're embracing your innermost self. You're separating from the fake ego that was made to satisfy and creating a new, more complete self, far more cost-free. And this is the most strong point when you get back in touch with your center. The other person ceases to be your salvation. You don't have to be. You no longer feel worthy of being accepted. Need to plead for love in order to feel whole, since you come back to live your body, your space, and your own reality. According to Jung, individuation is the self-realization, the essence of who you no longer have to wear the masks of the persona and the oppressive power of the shadow. Now is the time that you recognize that you don't need those who hurt you. To feel alive, all you had to do was keep in mind that your suffering is not who you is. It only one part of your story. However, prior to ending this adventure, there is yet a final step in comprehending how all of this actually works in practice. To use this understanding in daily life, how can I actually sever this connection with those who wronged you, and more crucially, how to turn this break into an internal. You've come this far, power, because deep down you already understood what was required. Perhaps you were unable to identify perhaps you mistook the discomfort for weakness, dependent on neediness, yet now you realize that it was your soul's call, an unspoken cry stating that you have suffered more than you have made too many sacrifices, that you have separated yourself from yourself in a significant way. So it's hard to recognize you, no longer looking in the mirror. Letting go is not about erasing, but about forgetting recollections or acting as though it didn't hurt. It is about realizing, embracing, and letting go after recognizing that the individual who was a part of a chapter that damaged you, but not required to appear in the upcoming pages that keep a connection with those. It's like trying to cross someone who destroys you. When the sea pulls an anchor, you will sink before you reach your destination. And don't let go. It hurts to break. Strength is needed for unseen bonds, because you're not simply abandoning someone. You are burying your fantasies and expectations, idealized versions, aspirations that never appeared. But this suffering is holy, since it is the agony of rebirth, the time of mourning required for your return to yourself, so that you can at last inhabit the area that was formerly dominated by because the other person isn't there. You no longer have to make yourself smaller to fit in. Into close partnerships, you no longer must shape yourself to the anticipations of those who are blind. It's time to decide what your essence is. Yourself, to prioritize yourself rather than others. Out of honesty, but out of selfishness, since as long as you continue to save shattered relationships, you will always be leaving your own salvation behind. According to Carl Jung, the luxury of the purpose of life is to discover your true self. And this is possibly the bravest you can choose. Not to try right now to alter the other without attempting to repair the past, but choosing to use all of the resoluteness with which you shall live without disguises. From your honesty, without shackles that don't repeat routines that only cause you pain. So please, tell me what you must let go in order to finally set. Feel free to post it in the comments section. Utilize this area for a ceremony of cutting writing as though it were a symbolic act of emancipation. You are telling yourself this because you are, and whether this message resonated with you, enjoy the video and sign up for the You Won't Find Simple Solutions on this channel. but you'll discover profound realities that can alter your life's trajectory. And the next time, don't stop here. The video is equally as significant as this one. It might provide the precise component that is lacking to finish this puzzle.